What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Tower of God New World. In today's video, I gotta make a video about this, man. Like I have to make a video about this because you guys already know how I feel about Prydwen. Sometimes they're cooking and sometimes they're not cooking. And this is one of those situations where Prydwen, they are not cooking at all. And if I'm being honest, when it comes to every single gacha game that I've seen Prydwen cover, Tower of God New World, they are not putting in any sort of effort when it comes to Tower of God New World, especially their tier list. They're not really descriptive when it comes to, their character's placement. They don't include an explanation as of to why the character is in that specific tier. When it comes to how many copies the unit needs, they don't really include that. No, that's why whenever I make my tier list videos, I have a tier list maker, and then I use Prydwen's format so that you guys can have a better understanding as to what I'm talking about when I place a character in my tier list maker. Because some of you guys complain for my tier list maker, I don't really explain how many copies you need on that unit. So that's why I always use, the Prydwen format, so that whenever I'm using a tier list maker, I say, okay, this unit is good with 3 red stars. And if we look at the Adventure Rev 6 category, I would put this character in SS tier or S plus tier, etc. You guys have a better understanding when I do that. So that's the main reason why I use the Prydwen tier list. It's just for the format when I make my tier list videos. But other than that, when it comes to the placements, like the character placements, like some of them I agree with them, but some of these placements are kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie, they be tripping with these placements. So the one character that I just 100% disagree with is Kallavan. Like a low invested Kallavan with no dupes. Like, okay, low invested Kallavan with no revolution, right? No tier 4 or 5. I 100% agree that he is B tier. 100% agree. His kit is absolutely useless. Doesn't bring anything to the table. Like, he doesn't have any taunt. He doesn't have any debuffs, buffs. He doesn't do anything. So I 100% agree that he is B tier for sure. But a maxed out Kallavan with Revolution tier 4, 5, and 6, right? 4, 5, and 6. And putting him in the same tier as a Lozelle with only 3 Revolution tiers, right? 1, 2, and 3, without 4, 5, and 6 is crazy. Like, they're pretty much saying that Kallavan, a maxed out Kallavan, is on the same exact tier as an R3 Lozelle with no tier 4, 5, or 6. That's crazy. Like, I 100% disagree with that in so many levels, because Lozelle, one of the worst things about Lozelle is the fact that she is a melee support unit, and her survivability is really questionable. Like for Lero, Lero is a support melee unit, but at the same time, his value is really, really good because he has magic pierce increase, he has defense increase. Like, his kit is really good for a support unit, especially for magic damage type units. Meanwhile, for Lozelle, what's really going well for her is the green element attack increase, and I'll say that's pretty much it. But saying that she's on the same level as a maxed out Kallavan, and not even a maxed out Lozelle, they're saying that a low invested Lozelle is on the same level as a maxed out Kallavan. I don't know, bro. I disagree with that. That's just wrong on so many levels. And this video is not about me, bashing Prydwen, saying that they suck. Nah, Prydwen, they're goated when it comes to, them giving information on multiple gacha games, them giving out guides. They're really good when it comes to that, especially when it comes to Ash Echoes. Ash Echoes, they did a great job with that gacha game. I'm covering that game on my channel, by the way, but probably when I've been using them, especially when it comes to team comp buildings, like, they're just really good when it comes to team comps and stuff like that. So I will give them credit for that. Now, this part is off topic, but they have like this black blog category, my mistake, this blog category on their website. And the last time they updated their blog category for Tower of God New World was the Vicente update. So I mean, this just further proves my point that they're not really following the game at all, but they're constantly updating the tier list. So I just find it weird how you guys don't update the blog category, but you're constantly updating the tier list. I don't know. But when it comes to Tower of God New World specifically, the character placements are just very questionable. and they don't include an explanation as to why they put these characters in these respective tiers. Like you guys can see, for every character, there is not a single explanation. It just says tier list explanation will be updated soon. They don't say, all right, Albelda is S plus tier because she gives invincibility frames, right? She increases attack, she increases defense, she lowers the enemy's attack and defense. They don't include any of that. It's just tier list explanation will be updated soon. And it's been like this for months. And a matter of fact, it's been like this for a year. They haven't included a single explanation for these characters' placements. So at least include something. Like give us a reason why you put these characters in the respective tier. I feel like when it comes to units who are in, let's say, C tier and below, I feel like they don't really they don't really need an explanation, to be honest. But when it comes to characters who are in like B tier and above, they need an explanation. And when we take a look at Ana, I mean Ana, putting Ana in C tier with low rev, I don't know, bro. Like this unit, Ana is actually pretty solid when it comes to distracting enemies. Like if you are using her with White, she increases White's survivability because the bunny doll distracts the enemy. Because White, one of White's biggest flaws is the fact that he is melee, and the fact that he's charging the enemy, he's drawing a ton of aggro. So Ana actually decreases the amount of aggro that White, it's like the amount of aggro that White emits on the enemy, because the bunny doll is distracting the enemy as well. So I will say Ana definitely does not deserve that C tier. She deserves the B tier at least, with low investment, at least B tier, because she's actually usable and valuable as a distraction unit. You can use her with any DPS character, and that can really help your DPS character stay alive, because the bunny doll is distracting the enemy. Like the enemy, they're focusing on eliminating that bunny doll first, then they're gonna target the DPS unit. So on his placement, I disagree with her placement 100%. It should definitely be in that B tier. And then if like, let's say Rev 6 Ana, I mean Rev 6 Ana, I still believe she belongs in that B tier, probably A tier, but I still think she belongs in that B tier at least, because she's a good distraction unit. So those are two characters I majorly disagree with when it comes to replacement on his tier list. And the one above them all is White. This right here is crazy because not only did they forget to, like, they didn't even include how many copies you need on White in that specific tier. Like, they just put White's profile pic and that's it. Like, you guys can see for Ana, they put R3, right? In Dorsey, they put 0 copies. For Kallavan, they put 04, but for White, nothing, absolutely nothing. It's just A tier, S plus tier. That's it. It's just not enough details, and I 100% disagree with White being A tier up to Rev 3, and the reason why is because when you look at the units who are in A tier, you have White and Kaseya in A tier, and we already know when it comes to Joaquin, the reason why he fell off is because of the warrior class. Warrior sub nodes are absolute trash. And Joaquin, like his kit, doesn't give him enough attack boost for him to like deal enough damage to the enemies. Now, of course, if you pair him up with Albelda, you pair him up with Princess Anak, Garam, he can work. He can definitely work. But saying that a Joaquin is on like let's say Rev 1, 2, and 3 Joaquin is on as at the same level as a Rev 1, 2, and 3 White is delusional, bro. Like that's actually crazy to me. So I feel like they should move up White to S tier because he is not on the same level as Joaquin. White has the highest damage multipliers. He has the highest damage multipliers as a warrior unit in the game. Like when you take a look at his ultimate, it's crazy as hell. Like if we come to purple element right here, you guys can see 1200% of his attack as to enemies in front of him with a single swing. That is insane. Like that is the highest multiplier a warrior character can have. And he is so cracked to the point where you don't even have to invest in his revolution sub nodes to make him really good. And imagine if you were to create a team where you have White as your only DPS unit, and you have Albelda, Garam, Princess Anak, you have Endorsey, Tank Endorsey. You're using all of these support characters just to buff White. that's gonna boost him up even more and make him even more cracked. So putting him in an A tier, the same level as a R3 Kun Aguero, I don't know, man. I disagree with it so much. Now, another valid critique I have for Prydwen is that they should take out the element, like they should not make the element of the characters a category. They should not make these a category. They should make a damage dealing support, healer, debuffer category. Because if I were a new player and I take a look at this tier list, I wouldn't know which DPS unit is the best DPS unit in the game. I wouldn't know that because they don't have a specific category for DPS characters. For example, we take a look at Ash Echoes. By the way, I recommend you guys to check out this game. It's goated. But you guys can see Ash Echoes has a damage dealer, specialist, buffer, debuffer, and survival category. Plus, they also have an explanation, which is also very, very good. They also have an explanation for characters who are absolutely trash. Like, that's what I'm saying, man. It's not that hard, but I don't know. But anyways, they have a category, right, which helps you understand which unit is the best at that specific class or category. If they just put fire, like if they use corrosion, fire, ice, lightning, etc. as, categories, then people are going to be like, well, that's not really helpful because we want to know who is the top DPS unit in the game. We don't want to know their element. And if you include their elements as the category, well, we don't know if Kairos is a DPS unit because you guys just put the element instead of damage dealer. So including these categories in Top God New World would make it a lot better because it's going to help people understand, which category units are in. For example, if I were to take a look at Karaka and let's say I'm a new player. I take a look at Karaka, I'm like, all right, he's a tank unit, but maybe he's going to be a DPS unit. Let me go ahead and invest in this guy and max him out. Bro, you're cooked, man. You're actually cooked. So that's the reason why it's very important for them to include damage dealer, support, debuffer, buffer, specialist, and a healer so that people can look at a specific category and they can decide which unit is the best at that specific category. And that's pretty much going to help them, progress a lot more efficiently. Because if we're looking at this tier list, like everything is so jumbled up and mixed together. Like you have support characters who are in the same category as DPS characters. It's just confusing. So they should, separate each unit into their own specific category, but of course they're in the same tier, and that's just gonna make things a lot easier. And I feel like one thing that they're also lacking on is the deficit category. Now, of course, in this game, every unit is usable at low deficit. Like, that's just a fact. Like, low deficit is very easy. But once you reach the mid game, that's when things start to get a little shaky. So I feel like they should also include deficit categories. Like they should include a high deficit category, low deficit category, and a mid deficit category. That's going to make things a lot easier and people will understand which characters they should invest in. Because if you just have a Rev 3, Rev 6 as the categories, then new players are just going to look at this tier list and be like, okay, Yiwa, she's A tier. A tier units are not that bad. Let me go ahead and invest in this character. And then once they progress through the game, they reach the late game, they're like, wait a minute, this character is terrible. Why are they in A tier? I thought they said she's an A tier unit with Rev 6. You see? So I feel like they shouldn't just, rank characters based off of their revolution. They should rank characters based off of their performance at high deficit and low deficit. Like they do that, but it's still like Yiwa at high deficit is just not good. She's really not good at all. Honestly, they should drop her down to at least B tier, if I'm being honest. I haven't used her at all recently. Like, I don't even remember the last time I used this character. At the early game, she's a queen. At the late game, mid. Absolutely mid. So they need to create a deficit category. And there's going to be some weirdo in the comment section saying they don't need to include a deficit category. Yes, they do, because when you look at the Nikkei tier list, they literally have a deficit category. They have low deficit and high deficit. They have bossing and PvP. So they should include categories so that people can have a clear understanding of that specific character that they want to invest in. Like, let's say, if I'm a new player, right, and I look at the Nikkei tier list, I'm like, all right, Alice, she seems like a solid unit. And let's just assume that there is no deficit category. I'm just a new player assuming that this character is good because she is S tier. And I'm like, all right, this unit is going to be good long term. Guess what? she's pretty decent long term. At high deficit, she is still sitting at S tier. But if this was the Tower of God New World tier list, nobody would know that. They would just look at Rev 3 and Rev 6 and be like, okay, this unit is S tier, so she's probably going to be good long term. She's really not. Like, she's a decent unit. Like, S tier characters are still solid, but compared to SS tier and SSS tier characters, these characters are just completely busted. So that's my other critique, is that for the Tower of God New World tier list, they need to include a low deficit, a mid deficit, and a high deficit category so that people can have a clear understanding as of to, you know, how units perform at a specific level. It shouldn't just be Rev 3 and Rev 6. Like, that's just not enough. And once again, they don't even have an explanation as of to why that unit is in, you know, that specific tier. And for example, let's say tank units, right? Tank units, it's pretty common sense that tank units, they don't need max copies because, you know, their job is to, like, when we talk about max invested, like, okay, if you were to ask me which unit you should prioritize, a tank unit or a range unit, I would prioritize a range unit because tank units are valuable with low copies. Meanwhile, for range characters, if you don't max them out, it's over. Like, they're just gonna die immediately, and you won't be able to unlock the Revolution tier 4 and 5. So you want to max out the range unit first versus the tank unit. But once again, if I'm a new player and I look at this tier list and I see Karaka in S plus tier, I'm like, okay, this unit needs 3 purple stars. Let me go ahead and put 3 purple stars on this tank unit rather than me putting, you know, a lot of effort in a range unit like Kun Mashni, for example, or Vivi. You see what I'm saying? It's like, it's just so, like, the tier list is just all over the place. Like, you can't really come to a conclusion using this tier list. So yeah, I feel like those are like like all the critiques I have for the Prydwen tier list, if I'm being honest. Like, when it comes to Kallavan, White, and Ana, I disagree on their tiers, especially White's. Like, they don't even put how many copies he need. They just put him in A tier, put him in the same tier as the Kassane Joaquin is crazy. Kallavan, you know, putting him in the same tier as a low invested Lozelle is also crazy. Yeah, man, I feel like they can do a lot better with this tier list. It's just that they don't include an explanation. It's been like this for a year. They never include an explanation. They don't have a deficit category. The tier list is just all over the place. I'm being honest, it is all over the place. So, my next updated tier list video is probably going to be tomorrow for the collaboration. And yeah, I'm just going to use my tier list maker because I don't really use the Prydwen tier list. I only use the format so that you guys can have a better understanding. But yeah, tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. That's pretty much it. Peace.